Hello there, my name is Madeline Sanders, and these are my responses to the questions in our assignment for this week about productive and counterproductive behaviors in the workplace. The first question is, how have recent historical events affected the course of research in organizational psychology? Give an example of an event and of the resulting outcome. And so the historical event that I've chosen to focus on today is the rapid development of technology, specifically communications technology. And within the last 5 years or so, what we've seen is that things like Zoom and just the ability to communicate over email or phone call has made it possible for employees to do some or all of their job responsibilities at home or from anywhere, really. And so this represents a lot of pros for organizations as it offers flexibility for its employees, as well as benefits like cutting costs for organizations who don't necessarily need brick and mortar places of work. However, Jex and Britt have pointed out on page 22 that a con of this development in IO psychology has been the lines of demarcation between work and other areas of people's lives being almost non-existent, and therefore it is literally possible to work 24 hours a day, which can make it really difficult for employees to strike a really good work-life balance, and can lead to, stress, burnout, things like that not only affect the employees, but the organization as a whole and their productivity. And in specific regards to research, researchers in IO psychology have been focused largely on these pros and cons, as well as Jex and Britt mentioned how people are able to detach from work in this kind of scenario, and the activities they can engage in to recover from work. So that is my response to the first question. The second question that we have here is, describe the socialization process for graduate students in your program. Is the program successful in socializing newcomers and creating job embeddedness? And so to start off my response, I really like Jex and Britt's summarization of what socialization is. They say on page 77, stated differently, socialization is primarily about learning to do your job effectively, learning to get along with others in the organization, and learning about the culture of the organization. And so from these 3 points, I think that Liberty does a great job of socializing its new graduate students, starting with learning to do your job effectively. Obviously, this isn't a job, but it is an organization that wants its students to do well with its education. And so I've seen this in a number of ways that Liberty has done a good job. For example, we have an introductory course on how to navigate Canvas and how to turn in assignments and how to just do like basic things through the online portal in order to be a good student. Also, they have a lot of good communication with their new students through email and through phone calls in order to make sure that registration gets done or financial check-in. And so I think Liberty does a really great job of this first aspect of socialization. The second being learning to get along with others in the organization. I think that there's a lot of opportunities for online students to engage one another either through video chat or online portals, but I think the way that I have most enjoyed learning to get along with others at Liberty is through the online discussions that we are afforded in our courses, It really allows us to engage in deep critical thought with one another, and I really enjoy getting to see everybody's differing opinions or the way that they view information that we've been given in class. And so I think that Liberty does a pretty good job of, having its students socialize with each other. The last aspect being learning about the culture of the organization, and I think Liberty does a great job of this early on by having, just a very clear and thorough website that, says that these are the values that we hold to. We are expressly Christian university, and so I think that sets a lot of expectations for its new graduate students, on what the culture of this online program in the social behavioral sciences is going to be like. As far as, embeddedness, from personal experience, I feel very much like I want to stay at Liberty. So I think that they do a good job of hitting those three aspects of socialization, which inevitably creates pretty good job embeddedness. So that is my response to question 2. So the third question we have is, how can an organization reduce or prevent work-family conflict? And obviously there are a lot of ways that an organization can do this, but I think what underlies a lot of these preventions are flexibility. The more flexible an organization is, the less likely there will be work-family conflict, but there is a balance, because an organization can't be so flexible that their employees can just do whatever they want, and so striking a balance is important. But Jex and Britt offer a lot of really good ways to prevent work-family conflict. The first being work-family policies, and they say these policies and benefits are termed work-family policies, and they refer to all efforts by an organization to help employees successfully execute work and non-work roles, such as elder care, parenting, education, volunteering, or self-care, such as exercising or visiting the doctor, and that was on page 117. And I think that this is really important, that companies or organizations make it clear that they value the family lives of their employees, that they value the commitments that they make to their families. And this can be seen through policies that give them the flexibility or the help that they need in order to meet those demands, as well as continue to do their work responsibilities. The other big thing that Jex and Britt touch on is supervisor support. And so I think it's really important that organizations have supervisors in place that are empathetic to the family demands that employees experience. If a supervisor is unaware of these or is unempathetic to him, it can be really stressful on employees who maybe notice that their supervisors don't support them having a work-life balance, and so then they feel stressed out, and it just leads to all kinds of work-life conflict that'll eventually trickle into absenteeism and other unhealthy organizational behaviors. So this is my response to question 3. The fourth question we've got here is, imagine you have been asked to develop a performance assessment program for employee development. What techniques could you use to adequately evaluate employee performance as comprehensively as possible? Think of Murphy's List. And so I admire Murphy's List. I think it's interesting that it kind of covers more broad aspects of job performance, but I think Campbell's model of job performance kind of hones in on some aspects that Murphy's List is missing. But I think that one technique that I would suggest is to use supervisor surveys. So having supervisors fill out surveys on their employees, specifically with Campbell's in-role performance dimensions of job-specific task proficiency and non-job-specific task proficiency. So as long as a supervisor is able to witness these behaviors in their employees, I think that these kind of surveys would help an organization understand how their employees are performing, at least in role. And then I think surveys either for supervisors, and I think it'd be interesting to see employees fill out these surveys too, about their extra role performance dimensions. So, things concerning their written and oral communication, the way that they demonstrate effort, how do they maintain personal discipline, do they facilitate peer and team performance, which maybe that would be from an employee analyzing a supervisor, and then a management administration, which again would be from an employee to a supervisor. I think surveys would give an organization on these topics, would give an organization a lot of insight to what supervisors think of their employees' job performance and what their employees think of their supervisors. But obviously there's bias in all of it. It's very, possible that, supervisors may favor some employees and some employees may favor other supervisors. And so that's always something to take into consideration. But I think that this survey technique would help to an organization to, as comprehensive as possible, evaluate their employees' performance. And this is my response to question 4. All right, so the last question we've got here is, what are some possible common organizational constraints? How can they lead to counterproductive behaviors? And so obviously there are a lot of, organizational constraints possible, but I think Jex and Britt highlight a really important one. And on page 196, they say, in organizations, these barriers may include environmental constraints, such as poor equipment, unnecessary rules and regulations, and other policies that end up wasting employees' time. And so out of these organizational constraints, employees can feel a lot of frustration or stress or even anger towards their organization, for not taking care of them the way they should be, or treating them fairly, or any kind of negative thing that they can be feeling towards the organization will could lead to counterproductive behaviors. For example, things like theft or production deviance or sabotage are possible counterproductive behaviors, and they can be done maliciously with intent or not, out of the frustration and stress that these employees feel towards their organization due to environmental factors. Could lead to an employee wanting to lash out against the organization, and this can lead to, stealing company resources or time, or, significantly reducing their contributions to the company through production deviance, or even, sabotage, where they intend to make the organization suffer. And all of these things are due to unhelpful and unhealthy organizational constraints that lead to employees not feeling valued, employees feeling like they've been unfairly treated. And so they're all things to be aware of when an organization is experiencing these counterproductive behaviors from their employees. So that is my response to question 5.